Association of Realtors and the Salem Chamber of Commerce and the Salem News. My name is Susan Klein, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the North Shore Association of Realtors. We're a 1,200 membership trade association who represent 150 offices across the North Shore. Not all real estate agents are realtors. Only members of the National Association of Realtors who agree to abide by a strict code of ethics are able to use the term realtor. It's a little known fact, so I want a great opportunity to share that. Our membership includes buying and selling agents, appraisers, mortgage brokers, attorneys, home inspectors. Many of our members engage with the Registry of Deeds on a daily basis. I just want to take a few seconds before we get started to thank the Salem Chamber for partnering with us. As well, thank you. I wanted to just give a quick shout out to our Government Affairs Manager, Christian Hoysrath, who's done a huge job. The purpose of this forum tonight is to help to create some awareness and educate voters on what the Registry of Deeds is and exactly what the Register of Deeds does. For those who might be unfamiliar, the Southern Essex Registry is responsible for recording real estate transactions for 30 cities and towns across the North Shore and is one of 21 registries across the state. The Register oversees a staff of 30 employees and manages an annual budget of $2.85 million, so a little starting point for us tonight. The debate will be moderated by David Olson, the editor-in-chief of the Salem News, and we've invited anyone in the audience who would like to submit a question as you came on the table tonight. You'll see some cards, and please feel free to write questions, and we'll collect those as well. I'd like to now call on our partner from the Chamber of Commerce, Rena Oistok.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for being here in Salem. Welcome to October. We're going to be the opening act. On Thursday we have the parade, so we're just starting off with a little event, going to a bigger event, and then on Saturday, Sunday we do the Bazaar. And if you have grandkids or family in the neighborhood, come to Salem. It is really fun. My name, once again, is Rinus Oosthoek. I'm the Executive Director of the Salem Chamber of Commerce and Civics. That's our official name, and we are the Chamber of Civics. That's why we always organize debates, get people informed and involved, and we want to thank both the candidates as well as you as the audience for being here, because that's the only way democracy works. As the Salem Chamber of Commerce and Civics, we want people to be involved. We want people to be a part of the chamber, to be a part of the Realtors Association, because if you are in the know and you get invitations to places like this to learn about what's happening in the industry and to learn about what's happening in politics. So with that, yes, please use those little cards because we want to know what you want to ask both candidates. And just as an aside note, the third candidate, independent, unfortunately was not able to attend today. But we have two really good people on the podium in a minute. We have two people who are running for election. One is elected already, and I want to give them a shout out. And of course, we have our governor's counselor, Eileen Duff, in the audience. And we have, and I want to look for the face, the candidate for Congress, Joe Schneider, in the audience. And with that, I'm going to hand the mic to Dave Olson, who will explain the rules of the game. And with two candidates, we expect it to be more of a conversation than a debate. But Dave will explain how we do things and how it works. And I want to invite both the candidates to come to the podium and get ready. David.
Can everybody hear me? Yes. Yes. All right. Yeah, the rules for this debate are fairly straightforward. We're going to start off. Each candidate is going to be able to give a 2-minute opening statement, and then we're going to go right into the questions. We have questions from the Realtors Association and from the Salem Chamber of Commerce. We're going to start with those. Each candidate is going to get 2 minutes to answer the question, and you have, the ladies down here are your timers, so they will let you know if you go long. We're going to try and get to as many questions as we can. We're going to alternate back and forth, so everybody gets a question first. And at the end, that's when we'll go to the questions from the crowd. So if you have a question, look around for someone with a note card, and they'll help you out. And then at the end, we'll have a 2-minute closing statement. So Salem Access TV is here, so please try and keep all applause to the end, because this is going to be broadcast in Salem, and I know KPN TV has asked for a copy. And if you could also silence your phones, so there's no ringing in the middle of the debate. That happened to me once. It was my mom calling me in the middle of the debate. I've never lived it down. So I think with that, we'll get started. You all set? 2 minutes, Mr. Ring.
Can everybody hear me all right with this? Okay. Thank you very much for having me here. First, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce, the North Shore Realtors Association, and the Salem News for being here, and also John, thank you very much for agreeing to this forum. My name is Jonathan Ring. I am a candidate for Register of Deeds. I grew up on the North Shore, grew up in Rockport. I've been very active in Rockport Town Affairs. I'm currently on the Rockport Housing Authority, where I've just recently chaired the board in hiring a new executive director for our Rockport Housing Authority. And currently I manage also a UPS store in Beverly. So as a lifelong North Shore resident and community advocate, I do want to be your next Register of Deeds, because I believe strongly in producing a government that is for the homeowners, the taxpayers, and the citizens of our Commonwealth. Because one of the most important things is that your home, your deeds, are your most valuable asset. And we need to make sure that those deeds are protected, that as part of the public record, and that we are serving the real estate community and the homeowners in processing those deeds. Unfortunately, the Registry of Deeds has become too politicized over the past few years. My intention is to turn that around. I'm going to focus on customer service, the people before politics. I'm going to focus on enhancing the e-filing system for the registry, and I'm going to focus on enhancing the fraud protection, the property fraud watch program for the registry. And I'm also going to term limit myself for 2 terms.
Okay, you're at 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your vote on November 6th.
So Ryan.
First of all, thank you all for coming out on a rainy evening. I want to thank the Salem News, North Shore Realtors, and the Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring this debate. As I've said throughout this campaign, no elected official is entitled to their position. You have to earn it. And I believe that at the end of this evening, you will hear our record of accomplishments at the Essex South Registry of Deeds. Because we have led the way in so many things, being the first to go online, digitizing records 25 years ago now, winning a Smithsonian Award, fighting and exposing the Wall Street banks, refusing to record fraudulent documents, providing phenomenal customer service. So I think at the end of this evening, you're going to have a clear picture to make a decision as to who you think is best to be the steward of the oldest continuous land records in the United States and to protect their integrity and their accuracy. And you will also be able to take this time to look and say, who is going to lead the registry in our move when the new registry is designed? And I think you're going to have an opportunity at the end of the evening to look and say, I want to enhance the wonderful record of accomplishments at the registry and the story of the Registry of Deeds, which has been very successful. And I want to be the one who writes the next chapter in that success. Thank you very much.
Okay, our first question, and we start with Mr. O'Brien. What do you think are the most significant challenges facing the registry, and how do you intend to address those challenges?
I think the first one is the move. The registry is either going to be moving out, hopefully not, of Shetland Park, and we're in the process now of going out for a request for proposals. As everybody knows, I fought to keep the registry there. And I did it not to antagonize anybody. I did it because it was the right thing to do, both financially and logistically. I'm a great believer in providing people with free public parking. And we pay the lowest per foot rent in the state of Massachusetts in that building. I know they wanted to move me to the courthouse, but as a former city councilor in Lynn, I say that's something that the local community should be doing. And they want that building to be renovated and back on the tax rolls. And we want to stay where we are. And I've designed a registry that's now going to go from 40,000 square feet to 17,000 square feet and still provide you with the same services that we do each and every day. So I think that, to me, is a giant step that people have to know what they're doing. Secondly, to continue our fraud watch program. I know people know about property fraud, but we have the most unique system, and I would say in the country right now, that tonight at 7 o'clock, if you signed up and you go home and something's on your property, you're going to get an email and you're going to see it. And you're going to be able to ascertain whether or not that is your signature, or if it has anything to do with your property. The registry is changing in so many ways, with indexing standards, with all of the different notarizations that we're going to finally stop on homesteads, hopefully, so that people do not have to do that. They can just email them in. So I want to be there to direct the registry for the next 6 years, because I think it's going to be a very exciting time. And I'm up for the job, and I'm ready to go.
Okay, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, what was the
Sure. What do you think are the most significant challenges facing the registry, and how do you intend to address those challenges?
Well, I can't disagree with the challenge of the move, but I'm going to disagree that the fraud watch program is not what it could be. The property fraud watch program, although it says that it will protect your homes against criminals, that's simply not true. The email system, the email alert, is just too easy to become a part of, that even white-collar criminals can sign up to email alerts about your home. So they can track your home and your deeds as much as you can. So we need to create a more secure process, a secure online process. At the same time, we need to move into the process of make sure that we improve our electronic closing and recording process, as well as online notarizations. We need to kind of move, further into the 21st century on that. I mean, it just comes to, we need to make this a more customer-friendly industry. And one of the things that I hope to do is work with the other registries across the Commonwealth, like Richard Howe, for example, who's the registry of the Northern Middlesex registry, who has done tremendous work in improving the electronic filing and online process for the registry. And he's even looking into GPS coordinates as a way to better determine your property lines. Also, it's really important to emphasize that as well, working with the Secretary of State. A lot of people don't know that the Registry of Deeds is under the division of the Secretary of State. And it's really important to have a good working relationship with the Secretary of State, regardless of who he is. Thank you.
Thank you. Second question, and this will start with you, Mr. Ring. The Southern Essex Registry of Deeds annual budget is $2.85 million. Is that an appropriate amount? Should it be higher or lower? In short, can you please give us your budget philosophy?
Thank you. My budget philosophy is basically making sure that we look for efficiencies, making the computer system in the registry more efficient, making the online system more efficient, and making sure that that we don't have to raise fees. Many of you may know that the Senate voted to increase fees for the registry, but this was totally wrong. Because the raising fees wasn't to fix a deficit in the budget, because the registry increased its, gained more fees, about $36 million in this past year alone. So, and the whole point of raising those fees was to feed money into CPA funds. But that's just basically taxing one user and transferring the money to another user. So the fee should not have been increased for that reason, but I'll be looking for more efficiencies within the registry of deeds.
Thank you. Mr. O'Brien?
As far as the budget is concerned, our $2.85 million budget will drop probably by $300,000 once we cut our rent in half, something that I've been trying to do for the last 7 years. And I think that we certainly have enough money. I oppose the fee increase. I did not oppose the CPA increase, and let me tell you why. Those funds are used by cities and towns across this district for historic preservation and for a myriad of items. It's very important. And what people don't realize is when the mortgage crisis hit and mortgage electronic registration system came into place, they do not record assignments of mortgages, and that's where this entire debacle started. And what happened is when they refused to record assignments, two things happened. Number one, the public has no idea who really owns their mortgage. And number two, the CPA fund lost over $7 million. That's not right. What we should be doing as far as the budget is concerned is forcing mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to pay the deed's excise tax that you pay. But they live by the philosophy, fees for thee, but not for me. And that's not right. I can tell you as of 7 o'clock last night, because I get the number every day, we've lost $2.56 million in tax revenue because they won't pay it. And that's something the Congress should do. I think the registry has been very efficient. You're going to remember, when I got elected, we had 74 employees. We've cut that in half. We're one of the most efficient registries in the state. And believe me, as far as electronic recording, we were the first to record and register land. We were the first to go online. We have been the leader nationwide, and that's why we won a Smithsonian Award, because we did it the right way. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question, I'm pretty sure.
Follow up on that?
Would you like one? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know you won the Smithsonian Award, but that was about 20 years ago. So, I mean, we are moving forward. The fact that they raised the fees, the purpose of why they raised the fees was to raise CPA funds. It wasn't for any other reason. So it is a contradiction to say you oppose the fee increase, but that you support increasing the fees for CPA. The purpose of doing that was just to transfer money from one user to another. And as far as the, yes, we need to protect, do as much as we can to protect against fraud. We also have to be careful that the registry doesn't go beyond its boundaries of trying to attack mortgage companies or politicize, issues, and make sure that we're just basically doing the job of administering the office, recording those documents, and serving the public.
So I respond, first of all. The job of the Register of Deeds is to protect the integrity and the accuracy of the land records. Had I not done what I did back when the Wall Street banks started corrupting your chains of title, I would have had a blind eye against fraud. I was the first and only one to expose the banks, and I'm the first, only, and still the only who will not record robo-signed documents. I know that my opponent, when he announced his campaign, said that what I was doing, and I have this quote, was a waste of time. Well, quite frankly, if protecting the integrity of your land records helping people stay in their homes, people who were set up for failure from day one by major banks, and they're going into court and using fraudulent documents to put them on the street. And if fighting to make sure that I will not report fraud is a waste of time, well, quite frankly, where I come from, then that's time well wasted, and I'll continue to do it.
The job of the registry is
You'll have
not,
a chance, we'll go on to the next question.
okay, the job of the registry is not to engage in politics, it's to serve the public.
Okay, next question. This is from one of the realtors. This is from Mr. O'Brien. Real estate attorneys conducting closings often find it difficult to meet the afternoon time frame to file recordings. Would you be open to extending the time frame for filings until later in the day, even if that meant just once a week or several times a month? Or is there some other answer?
First of all, I can tell you this, and some of the realtors in the room will know this. We're probably the only registry in Massachusetts that stays open after hours. We get people on record. We've had attorneys that have been stuck in traffic and they call us and we let them know. I'm not knocking my coworker, my colleagues, but go to some other registries and get there at 3:45 and wait in line to be told 4 o'clock, you're out. We don't do that. Certainly, I believe that if we could stay open till 5, no problem at all. But we find that we service anybody. And if I'm wrong, please tell me, because anyone who comes in there, I mean, we were there one day when we closed on the snowstorm at 9:30, and we stayed till almost 11 o'clock in the morning in a snowstorm to make sure that that particular person's closing took place and they would buy their home. So I will certainly entertain keeping the registry open at later hours, no problem at all. Love to do it, but we already do it.
Absolutely. Not only should we keep the extended hours, we should make sure online filing receive those extended hours. Not only that, but I'll be there and I'll work the full shift. I'll work, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, 8 to 6 if it's necessary, 8 to longer. Because it's important that we have a register that's there as a full-time register throughout the year, throughout the week. And we have to make sure that in working alongside his coworkers.
Next question, this starts with you. Do you think there's information or data that can be meaningful for policymaking in the records maintained by the Register of Deeds office? If so, how do you propose we access information and make it meaningful for policymaking in Massachusetts? How can we help our lawmakers use the data that's in the Registry of Deeds to make better decisions?
That's a really good question. The primary focus, though, of the Registry of Deeds is not that, but it can help. One of the most important things that the Registry of Deeds does is supply the information to the Board of Assessors of all of our towns. And that's really where the rubber meets the road. The Board of Assessors of each town, each city is responsible for assessing correctly the taxes in each town. So it's important for us to make sure that those records are maintained and accurate, so that they can use that information so that nobody is unfairly taxed. I think the state perhaps should adopt a similar model, making sure to use those records to make sure that people are not unfairly taxed.
We cooperate with cities and towns every single day. Every evening, the assessors receive all of the information that they need, maps, plans, everything. But more importantly, we notify the police, the fire, and the building departments of every single community on abandoned properties that are going into foreclosure, so that they do not become a blight on the neighborhood. We're the only registry in the state of Massachusetts that has an abandoned property fraud search. We communicate with historic boards, we communicate with any government agency. We are the registry of record, believe me. We have the most sophisticated computer system, and I might add this right now because I don't think people know this. The registry system that was homemade and hand-built in Salem is the model that's going to be used starting next year in the 12 state-run registries of deeds, from Dick Howe all the way down. It's our system, because those who use it know it's the best. It's free, We provide you with service, we provide you with whatever you want. And anybody who goes into that building and looks and says, have you ever been in a building, a government building that has a sign that says, how may we help you? And we mean it every single day.
Okay, thank you. This next question, we start with Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
And this has been a statewide issue. We've been talking politics a little bit, but it's come up specifically in this race. And the question is, should elected officials accept campaign contributions from their employees? Why or why not?
Well, I can tell you right now, I decided in January of this year not to accept employees' contributions. I don't agree with it, but I did it, quite frankly, because I thought that this is becoming like the big issue today. And this is how I look at it. I am a public official that has two fundraisers, one in 2011 and one in 2016. No employee has ever been forced to contribute to me. No employee has ever been demoted or promoted because they did or they didn't. It makes no difference to me. But what bothers me is when I see Citizens United and I see lobbyists and PACs donating millions of dollars to public officials, which they have every right in the world to do, that are voting on issues that affect them. I have a hard time when a clerk at the Registry of Deeds who wants to write a check for $50 because they believe in what we're doing, and they can't do it. So my answer is very simple. It's become the political thing, I guess. Everybody, oh my God, he's shaking the employees down. Well, as I told somebody in another meeting, if I'm shaking the employees down, why don't I do what everyone else does and have 2-3 fundraisers a year? I have one every 5 years. That's not what I do. I don't do that. And this whole nonsense, quite frankly, about me and let's get into it because I know he's going to, about this address is complete nonsense. Trust me, I have every employee's addresses. I've had them from day one. I know the employees. We're friends. We work together every single day. And I'm probably the only state official today that if anybody wants to help me at the Registry of Deeds, I don't ask them. I've never sent that letter out asking to contribute to my campaign. Never did it. I have it here. And quite frankly, if I could steal 2 minutes from my end, I was not charged with a conflict of interest. I was given an education letter. There were 11 people, and I have it here, that were fined for violating a conflict of interest statute. I wasn't. I was given an education letter. So to answer your question, I'm not accepting it. I don't agree with it, but in the world we're in today, I guess you have to.
Mr. Rand.
Well, the truth is, you did violate conflict of interest laws. You did use your office for the purpose of soliciting your employees for campaign donations. And yes, they did give you an education letter after you accepted their findings. But this goes to the heart of the fact that there's conflicts of interest in all levels of government. And using your office, using his office to solicit campaign donations was a clear violation of not only ethics, not only campaign ethics, but civic ethics, but also a violation of the public trust. And it's just simply wrong. And you decided, rightfully so, to not accept donations, but only after you were reprimanded by OCPF and given that education letter for using your office for solicitation purposes.
Can I have a rebuttal on that?
I think you took 3 minutes. the first
Okay,
time.
all right.
The next question, we'll start with Mr. Ring. What exactly is your plan to enhance or improve the fraud prevention program? And please provide specific details.
Well, I want to be able to work with a lot of the registries in the area to see how they've enhanced it. First, there has to be an authentication process. We have to actually know, are you the owner of that property that's signing up to an email alert? I signed up to the Property Fraud Watch program, and there was no authentication process whatsoever. It was just too easy, so anybody could sign up and keep an eye on my property and watch for my next move. So yes, we do need to enhance that.
If I could, Property Fraud Watch, anybody can go on, before I launch Property Fraud Watch, anybody can go on salemdeeds.com and look up anything you want. You can look at anybody's property. That's public record. That's the law. It's out there. What we did was to say, let's enhance it. Let's make it work. So you sign up. And as I said earlier, if somebody records something on your property, we just had it in Hamilton, where somebody just got indicted for 13 counts, trying to steal a house from his kids. All of this works. That's why we put it into place, to protect people. The Register of Deeds is not just a pencil-pushing job. The Register of Deeds is your eyes, and your eyes to look at fraud and everything else that comes in the record. I, for one, will never turn a blind eye to fraud. No matter what we see, we'll expose it. That's what we do.
Okay, we'll go right into this next question then. What is the main type of property fraud that people should be concerned about, and how would you go about preventing it?
Is this me?
Yep.
Okay. First of all, one of the main things is somebody comes in and records a deed. One of the fastest growing things in this country is people stealing other people's homes. It's happened all over the country. They will steal their homes. They will come into the registries and record a fraudulent deed. Now, the plus side of property fraud is that if you're signed up, and by the way, whether you have a computer or not, doesn't make any difference. Give us your telephone number and we will call you and let you know what that document is. And the reason for it is, somebody comes in with a deed, it meets all the requirements, no robo-signers, it's signed, we have to record it, there's no question about it. But if it's suspicious and you call us the next day and say, that's not my deed, you are aware of what is on your property. Now, I want to make one final point on this. We have done everything we can. The customer service team, the outreach team at the registry is out almost every day trying to get people to sign up. But sadly, we asked the 30 communities in Essex County to allow us to put a card in the tax bill asking people to contact us to sign up. My name wasn't on it. It wasn't political. Didn't even say John O'Brien. 11 communities allowed us to do it. So we need those other 19. And quite frankly, only one city, Peabody, did it. It's the only city that allowed us to do it. So we need to have cooperation from other government officials because this program is so vital to your security.
Mr. Ring?
Well, I think we can agree on that. I mean, definitely we need to reach out to all the communities, make sure that they know about the Property Fraud Watch program, but we also need to make sure that we enhance it to make it more secure. It is a matter of public record, but we don't want to make it easier for, full white-collar criminals to use the Property Fraud Watch program, which is meant to prevent fraud. I don't think that's the intent, but we just need to make it more secure for people.
Question from the crowd to Mr. Ring. How would you enhance e-filing?
Well, thank you for asking me. Basically, I believe e-filing needs to be a little bit faster, extended times, and to enhance it, I'm going to talk with some of the registries in our industry, the other that have enhanced their e-filing, and see what programs that we can put in place. Not only that, but making sure that our documents are backed up on at least 2 servers, and making sure that physical documents are protected. So some people fear e-filing because they think that more fraud could be connected to that, but actually a lot less fraud can be connected to that. So we need to just make sure to enhance that system.
If I may, the Salem Registry was the first registry in Massachusetts to record and e-recording. We were the test site for it many, many, many years ago. And after all the bugs were worked out, it's implemented. Every registry of deeds it has the same system. It's enhanced by companies that you do business with and you hire them, and they record the documents. We were the first to develop registered land and implement it in Massachusetts. Enhancing electronic recording is something that the industry is going to speed up. But we're almost at 50% of our business now. That's why we can reduce the size of the registry of deeds, because our walk-in traffic is nowhere near what it used to be. So when you talk about electronic recording, we know, believe me, we work on it every single day trying to challenge ourselves to find new and innovative ways to make every program better. The Register of Deeds is, under my direction, is not just sitting there grabbing a paycheck and going along like they used to do with pencils. I mean, we took the registry, which was Sleepy Hollow, and turned it into a national model of excellence. We have done things that nobody has done, and we continue to do it every single day. So all I can tell you is, if a change comes up from the industry, we're on it, and we're on it every single day. My computer staff over there is second to none. Other registers come to us and ask us for information. You're using our computer system. I think that says it all.
Okay, this question goes
We
to,
also have to make sure that we're connected to the Mass Land Record System and make sure that they are more usable for customers.
I have to answer that, because the last thing you want to do is be connected to the Mass Land Records. Mass Land Records is the worst computer system I've ever seen in registries of deeds. That's why Secretary Galvin is changing it from Mass Land Records to the Salem system, because we are so advanced. Believe me, Mass Land Records, go on tonight and try to find something at a few registries. I suggest you do that, and then go on Salem Deeds. It's night and day.
That's not really true, because a lot of registries use the ACS system, not the Salem system. The Salem system is a standalone operation. It is vitally important that we get connected to those Mass Land Records, and I will work with the Secretary of State in order to make sure that that happens.
I need to just clarify one thing. We have one system, our Salem system. It's the best. ACS, Mass Land Records, is the same system. It's going to be changed to the Salem system. We do not want to connect to Mass Land Records. We want to connect to Salem's land records, because that's the most sophisticated computer system probably in the country right now.
I disagree with that.
okay, follow-up question. For this starts with Mr. O'Brien. I mean, there's little to no consistency even among the Register of Deeds sites across the state. How do you get those systems working together? I suspect this is a question from a frustrated realtor.
It's a good question from a frustrated realtor. That's why, quite frankly, they're throwing Mass Land Records out into the ocean and bringing in the Salem system. Now, when I say it's going to be our system, it is, but each register, because they're elected public officials, is going to tweak their own system. They're going to tweak what information they'd like to put on. Like, we have Property Fraud Watch, we have Abandoned Property Search, we have the only veteran site in Massachusetts, we have the only Native American site in Massachusetts, so we're going to be able to do that. 12 of the state registries will all be connected to our system. The remaining county operations will continue on their own, because they're not under the Secretary of State's control right now. So they have their own particular systems, and they charge, as you know. Counties charge you an awful lot of money to look at their information. We give it free, because I think any time that people pay for what they pay to record a document, you should be able to sit home and print copies of it free of charge. So what you're talking about is actually going to happen. It's in the process right now. I mean, we've had meetings. They've come to Salem a number of times to view our system. Land court judges, everybody. They love it. They want it. I know you people are happy with it, and I think you're going to be pleasantly pleased when you don't have to go into Suffolk and Middlesex and Lowell and everything else and go through Mass Land Records and try to figure that gobbledygook out.
Mr. Ring?
Well, I'll be the first to tell you that I'm not the IT professional. The IT professional are the people that I'm going to hire. I'm going to talk with the IT professionals within the registry of Salem, talk with other registries across the state, and see what works best as a uniform system. So I do believe that we still need to connect to the mass land records, but I mean, and we need to make sure that we have uniform access to all the registry of deeds.
Okay, this is a question from the crowd. And we'll start with Mr. Ring. As a homeowner yourself, what is the first change you would make to the registry of deeds? The first change.
The first change. Well, the first change is what I have been talking about, just enhancing the property fraud watch program. That's vital to make sure that, as I've said already, so I sound like a broken record a little bit, but it's just not secure like we would want it to be. So that is the first change I would make. And just making sure that we have a full-time register managing the registry. And making sure that it focuses on customer service, which it does, but not getting involved in every political dispute, in every political action that the registry over the past several years has been involved in.
The first change I would make is reduce the registry of deeds down to 17,000 square feet. Modernize it and get it ready for the future. That's the first change. As far as enhancing and protecting the property fraud watch, quite frankly, there's no way to do that. If you sign up for the program, you receive a document so that you can see if it's fraudulent. That's the point of this. Anybody can go on to the Registry of Deeds website and look at any document they want. That's one of the downfalls of public records, but that's, you have to get to give. So we developed this system because to protect people. So that's very, very important. And I can tell you this, I've heard it twice now. I'm a full-time register of deeds. The people here will tell you, I'm in that building at 6:45 in the morning. I do my job, I do it well, and I'm looking forward to continuing it.
And we have time for one more question from the crowd, and this is from a Salem resident. And it says, there seems to be something new raising its head as it has to do with equity and deeds. I received a proposal just last week in the mail to obtain $30,000 with no required payments. I just have to sign over my equity. What do you see as the registrar's role in monitoring these potentially risky instruments? Yep.
That's one of the politicizing things that we do every single day on our website. We are the fraud alert. We tell people everything. Every scam down the book. You get the letters, you want a copy for an $80 deed. When you don't need it, we'll send you a free deed. We alert people to rental scams, to whatever it is. And we've alerted them to this new equity scheme. It's all over our website. Believe me. And I know people think that, I'm on the Wall Street banks, but this is a new way for them to come up and take people's money. And that's all it is. Because I want you to remember one thing. When Salem 5 writes a mortgage and they sell it, which they have a right to, they record an assignment. So you, the homeowner, knows who owns your mortgage. Not MERS, not Mortgage Electronic Registration System. They bundle them up in exotic instruments and they sell them to investors. And we helped those investors get back some of their money by proving that the documents they recorded were fraudulent. And this is just a whole new scam, and there will be other scams. And believe me, I'm the only register of deeds in Massachusetts that stood up and said, not doing it. I'm not turning the blind eye to fraud. Ask yourself that. All these other registries that we want to look at this and that, ask them that question. I did it. And believe me, I took a lot of flack for doing it, from state officials to banks to everyone, but it was the right thing to do.
Mr. Ring.
I think alerting people to scams is the right thing to do, but the job of the registry is to basically record the documents in the proper order. There's not a whole lot the registry can do, and for a register to tell you that they can, just kind of goes beyond what the scope of the office is. Definitely we need to make sure, all of us as a community need to make sure that we're all protected against fraud. But as far as the scope of the register goes, it's up to the legislature and to create the mechanisms for the registry to use to prevent fraud. Otherwise, you really can't detect every kind of fraud there is. It's just not what the staff is set up to do. It's not what the register is set up to do. It's not what the policy of the Registry of Deeds is. And that's the unfortunate truth. So we need to make sure to get this registry focused on what it can do and put it to the legislature to make sure that they create the mechanisms, even if it means enhancing the registry in some way, to take care of that and to prevent more fraud. Thank you.
Thank you. That seems to be a good segue into the closings, and we start with Mr. Ring, 2 minutes, please.
Oh, closing statements?
Yep.
Well, once again, thank you for having me here, and thank you for listening to our different perspectives on this institution, on the Registry of Deeds, and what it means to the people of the Commonwealth and to our district, Essex County South. I will do everything I can to improve the registry, to improve its customer service, to work side by side with the employees that are already there. Because there are definitely a lot of people there in the registry that have a lot of experience in this. I will use my management experience in this office. I've managed a franchise which grosses about $500 million worth of sales. I'm a notary, and I've managed customer service. I've used actually the registry as a member of the Rockport Housing Authority, and I've had experience, in protecting homeowners as a member of the Historical District Commission, making sure that the rights of homeowners are protected. The bottom line is that this office does belong to the people. It's not supposed to be a political office. It's unfortunate that we have to run every 6 years for this office. But that's the way the system is set up. And as such, I will work and manage this office, and I appreciate your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. I hope that both of us, you've listened to us, and now you have to make a decision as to who you think is better served from the Registry of Deeds. Of course, it's a political office. If it wasn't, Linda Green would be still being recorded every single day over there, as it is in other registries. Take a look at this. This is what I was faced with. 39,000 fraudulent documents. It's not in the scope. Well, it's in my scope. Because you elected me to protect your land records, to be your eyes. And that's what I do. Win, lose, or draw, I can tell you this, nobody has fought harder to protect the integrity and the accuracy of those land records than I have. And I will continue with your help and your support in the final election. I appreciate all of the things that we do every single day for people. What I meant to say is I appreciate my customer service team every single day, what they do for people. We go over and above the call of duty. We know realtors. We know what you people go through. We know you need information and you need it quickly and it needs to be accurate. And when we house the oldest continuous land records in the United States of America, the history of those records are vitally important. And that means from day one to today, not with all of this fraud that was recorded on it. It's a nightmare. Believe me, we walk in every single day and we look. My team has become investigators, clerks who suddenly jumped in because they wanted to protect your records. I appreciate your support. I appreciate all the help you've given me over the years. And I just want to thank you all for being so kind to the staff at the Registry of Deeds, because they certainly deserve it. Thank you very much.
Okay, that concludes our debate. I want to thank the North Shore Association of Realtors and the Salem Chamber of Commerce for helping put this, they did all the work, for putting this together. It's very rare to have a debate at this level anywhere, so it's an important thing. So let's give it a Thank you for Salem Access for making sure everybody's going to get a chance to see it. Thank you to our timers. That's the toughest job in the room. We have one more round of applause for the candidates. And please vote November 6th. The deadline to register to vote is October 17th. Thank you.